Good morning. This is Dr. Mia Luth. I have a few things. I'm doing this one on the fly, but I am including this as part two of a YouTube course about metaphysical basics. This is not a highly advanced class. It's just for basic information, giving some examples, trying to explain some terminology, taking some of the myth out of the popularized version of what people think metaphysics is. But first and foremost, uh, there are some people who um, maybe study certain, are into studying quantum physics, astrophysics, metaphysics, um, human behavior, history, earth history, cosmology, those kind of things. And I didn't say cosmetology. Okay, that's for makeup. Cosmology is the studying of the cosmos. Who know the name David Wilcock? So, unfortunately, one of the reasons that I chose to get involved with some of this research conversations and why I focused on certain things was because, you know, mental health, a human's mental health can be affected by numerous factors, some of which some people don't know about. Okay. And so human behavior and psychology does fit into the whole metaphysical, school of thought sphere of understanding. Sadly, it has been confirmed that David Wilcock um, unalived himself, and he is no longer with us. So I went back. The minute I heard it, it was not exactly confirmed, but I sensed certain things. And anyway, I knew that was true. But it's been confirmed now, and apparently his family has spoken. Um, Mental health and understanding metaphysics and spiritual matters and, you know, ideas, concepts, and the reality of things that are not visible to the naked eye. And in some cases, if you're, non sighted, this also includes you, um, because there just there is a lot that the human eye and perceptive experience doesn't pick up. But over time, we know it's there. Okay, I like to use for a lot of people, um, unless you live in mud huts and out in more wilderness or more secluded, have at least seen or heard of a microwave oven. So if you show someone, you let them touch the temperature of food before you put it in a microwave oven. Um, you let them watch, and the food comes out. Okay, so they watched, and the only thing they see that's different is they hear a noise and there's a light bulb that turns on. So they watch, and when it comes out, people can then touch it, and okay, the food has been affected. But you let them touch the light bulb, and that light bulb is not hot enough to cook food. So it helps people understand something has that can't be seen with the human eye has affected the food and cooked it. So you make sure, here's the important part, you make sure you let them touch the light, because they will feel that that light is not the reason that that food was cooked, because it's not hot enough. David Wilcock was a prolific writer, speaker, um, dealt with metaphysical topics, um, and you know, did a lot of research on, it may even dip into what some people call paranormal, some people call specialized physics. And unfortunately, I mean, may he rest in peace. Okay. It's, this is something that I really want to be vocal about out loud in public, is what mechanisms and what sort of things could drive someone to the point where their only option to them is unaliving themselves. And it's very important to me in the metaphysical area, quantum physics, human behavior milieu. I am a behaviorist. I'm well studied in animal behavior, um, but human behavior, okay, is more unpredictable and more complex than animal behavior. And so I listen to people along the way, and I've known about David Wilcock. I've known about some of the things he discusses. I don't always have the same perspective, and I can't say 100% agree, but it's something I am looking to put out, that more people need to learn about themselves and their bodies, and what is appropriate and normal to them, and how they feel, and notice their emotional situations. Whether anybody, there are people who swear that it's manipulated from the outside, and there are some who say it is only from the inside. It's likely both, but I am not trying to say it's aliens or archons or any government or secret societies. I'm not saying any of that. And in some cases, I absolutely don't think that that is the case. And what what was alarming to me about the last video that David Wilcock put up. I mean, you can search for it. I'm not going to. Using the internet and searching for things is also something. So I don't hold hands as much, and I don't spoon feed. You can look up David Wilcock last video. He's got a channel. The one thing that he said, that as a human behaviorist, and one who likes to keep pointing people toward good mental health in a variety of different ways, this being one of them, uh, is he well, he said he was scared. There are scientists who are apparently disappearing. He also said, he seemed to think, and he said that he's the only one. He felt that he was the only one on Earth who is, concentrating on global meditation. And I'm going to say this again. It is very unfortunate that he got to the point where he just felt taking unaliving himself was his only option. As human beings, we can be more aware of certain things all over the planet to perhaps intervene and maneuver people out of that headspace in a variety of different areas. Doesn't have to be in nerdy areas, but then again, being a nerd is not a bad thing. I know all kinds of people that, air quote, nerd out on all sorts of different things. Everybody's got something they nerd on. Could be food, could be anything. But it is unfortunate. So I'm going to say this lightly. That statement that he said, one, indicated to me that he felt an enormous amount of pressure. And he thought that he was the only one who was doing something that others do on Earth all the time. Okay. The Center for Noetic Sciences, Noetic Sciences. If you go to their website, they've been doing this for years. They do have days where they will specifically pick certain, concepts and thoughts, and to, everyone can join in. They start at like noon. You go check it out. But people have been doing that since before David Wilcock was born. So, very skewed perspective. Obviously, he is not as aware as many people would like to think. And it indicated to me exactly how much pressure he felt he was under. And, he felt like, well, who's going to do it if I'm not here? And so on and so forth. Well, the same ones who've been doing it since before you were born. Many world religions do that. And I'm not going to talk about them. I'm saying they're just titled, they're put in that category, world religions. Meditate globally every single day. All right. So I am concerned that many others are not getting more wide and broad perspectives. And I am concerned that part of that pressure and his understanding of things, well, he clearly was not aware of the Center for Noetic Sciences. They've been doing that for a very long time. There are, air quote, world religions have been doing that for a very long time. He's not that special. And that's hard to take. That's hard to come to that realization. Clearly, there were some things that were a little different about his normal presentations. But unfortunately, you know, we should all be looking at this as maybe he wasn't right on the mark, and I know that some catering to a person's ego and continuously happening does put them in a state of mind where they feel like he felt. This is common human manipulation. And I think there should be some people who are a little more open to more well rounded conversation. And those people who knew about Corey Good, David Wilcock, some of these individuals who study ancient aliens, spiritual, the invisible, lots of territory. It does all kind of fit into physics. Just there's theoretical, there's experimental, there's quantum, there's astro, right? And so there's earth physics, and there are some other ways to look at this. But scientifically, and in order to be more aware and alert, those who were in agreement with David Wilcock and who, hyped him and, thought that he was very important in certain ways. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm simply saying he clearly was not aware of certain activities that have been happening on Earth since before he was born. And stroking the ego and building someone up and building someone up and building someone up, there is a good, healthy way to do it. And then there's the not good, healthy way to do it. Clearly, he was not aware of the Center of Noetic Sciences, um, and certain world religions and the understanding of the collective conscience as a whole. Probably not a student of Jung, Carl Jung. So, I mean, may he rest in peace. And I'm not saying he was wrong. I'm saying this is an opportunity to look at some of the things that were happening and did happen, and how a person could get to the point where they decide to unalive themselves. And so something good obviously can come from this. So, you steady as she goes. I think that many of those kind do miss some broader perspectives, and you can include human behavior in everything that has to do with her. It was very clear, if you really listen and you really pay attention, that he felt and perceived an enormous amount of pressure and took responsibility and was, taking on so much to say, who's going to do this if I'm not here? And clearly he's not aware that millions, if not billions, of humans daily meditate together on Earth. And again, Center for Noetic Sciences has been doing those kind of things for a long time. Certain world religions, I mean, it's their entire belief system is based on. So for me, I constantly remind myself love above all else. Love does not really divide. And everything having to do with this planet is covered under love. I mean, love does cover it all in certain ways. And, it might seem like, oh, well, love, I understand. But if you're just daily, consistently saying love above all else, that probably will attract love. If you feel like you are unloved, or you don't know how to love, or you don't know what love is. Something very simple. So I do remind myself I am very sorry about that. But this is a very important factor in what I'm trying to discuss in understanding metaphysics, the basics of certain understandings having to do with more intangible situations, more to air quote invisible, as in, you can't see them with your own two eyes. Um, so it is something that people interested in healthy conversation and healthy research. And this is why I say that the best thing that any people can do for, you know, the brand new and flesh on earth, as in babies, children, is help them learn themselves really well, understand themselves, how their bodies work, how they think. Okay, that is meant for every single human, regardless of any other factor. There is no disqualifier anywhere on earth. Helping children understand themselves, know themselves really well, understand their bodies, how they feel, how they think. And you see, the reason why is that once they know that, it is much easier for them to know, okay, I've been extra sad and I'm not sure. It's not like me. My body may be telling me something. I need to pay attention to it. I mean, that could literally save lives in future. So if there's one thing that I personally would suggest to all humans on earth is help. Well, get to know yourself really, if you hadn't done that already. Understand how your body communicates to you. Understand how you feel and think and what is normal for you, especially thoughts and understanding. Because you may be your first warning system that, you've been sad for too long, or you've been, agitated for too long, or you feel like, there's something that is inside you that's not jiving, and you are more likely to reach out for help. So make sure. But for the children of this world, if we as adults concentrate on that more than anything else, I mean, that's something that they absolutely must have. And many don't, because they're not encouraged to know themselves, right? But they should be. to know what they like, what they dislike, how they think, how they, operate, what is normal for them. And that is something every human can do. So when it comes to metaphysics, even with that, any thoughts or ideas or theories, that can all exist and still not be in the way of one of the best things that we can do for human kids all over Earth, helping them understand themselves. They'll be the first ones to notice. I don't know, I've been extra agitated for a little while. Maybe I need to talk to somebody, or maybe I need to see a doctor, or maybe need to get something out. I need to express something to someone, and I feel more urgently about it. But it also helps them love and understand themselves. It helps them love themselves. It helps them be good with who they are. And that is across the board, all humankind, no matter any other thing. So, meditation also gets discussed in metaphysics. There are some people who have a strict interpretation of it, and some who have a wider interpretation of it. It's one of the things that I do, and I suggest at least once a day, just take a deep breath in, hold it for a little bit, and then blow it all the way out. All the way. Until there's just nothing left. And then, right, then it also forces your body to take a huge deep breath. Okay? Which helps in physical ways, but I'm not going to get all into that. This is basics. And when I do that, I think love above all else. And, those who believe in attraction, the laws of attraction, things like that, love above all else. Those who are familiar with scripture, uh, the Bible, Old and New Testament, God is love, love above all else. Okay, it fits with every situation, human situation on earth. So, again, you know, David Wilcock is one who talked about certain things, and he had certain topics that, kind of really related to certain metaphysical study concepts, um, truths, and theories. So maybe take the time to just do, if you've never heard of him, do some research and learn who he was. And that, for studying purposes, if you want to know more, it's definitely had some thoughts and theories, and did a lot of talks and books. But there were perspectives that he apparently wasn't aware of, or eschewed, or didn't believe. I don't know. Okay, I won't be able to talk to the guy, which is sad. So the other thing is, metaphysics is just a large term to describe a bunch of different studies, but behavior fits in that category, right? Um, and so psychologists uh, and clergy and Yes, wise village elders usually know some things that quite literally could be put in the metaphysics general umbrella and understand. Speaking of physics, another person who passed away very quickly, I am practicing. I built up my the sound of physics. So music nerds, um, physics of sound is an actual specialty in physics, and there are portions of acoustic information that also fit metaphysics too. So metaphysics is not as amorphous and mystical a study as it once was. So there are a lot of people who can contribute, and scientifically speaking, the more we listen to each other and the more we help each other understand different perspectives and how they relate to humankind, particularly, the more we will understand about ourselves, the more people will understand no, it's just the human race, it's humankind. There's nothing else going on there. But yes, I have been practicing because I just will say tomorrow there is, speaking of mental health, there are a, a bunch of people who have been diagnosed around me, been diagnosed with certain things. And I don't think that all those diagnoses are correct. I think some of these are spiritual matters. I think some of this definitely touches on metaphysical situations, on um, certain. Right, I'm just gonna say spiritual. Regardless, the Expressions of Healing is an art show that's held in Cecil County, Maryland, USA, every year, and clients and people who have been diagnosed with some type of air quote mental illness. I have I have PTSD, and unfortunately, I suffer bouts of depression. And some of that has to do with, yes, medical condition and my reaction to certain types of medications. So there's some types of medications I can't take, so they can't help me. Right. I'm not against taking medications. I'm against some, and I'm against, piling them on and drive through medication distribution. But, some have actually quite literally helped people live better quality lives. But, that can get into a whole nother topic of the body, metaphysical, whether or not, the mind is outside the body or in the body. Yeah, stupid cancer. I don't really like to talk about it. I'd rather give it no attention at all. It has affected my life in a lot of different sad, unfortunate ways. But I did create a band, or one is unable to because of a mental health situation, and the other passed away pancreatic cancer. So he wrote an original song and sang it at Expressions of Healing which the opening night will be tomorrow night in Elkton, Maryland. So I learned that song and I will be singing it and playing it at the same at Expressions of Healing tomorrow, somewhere around 5 p.m. or so. So I've built my calluses up, and I've been working on it, and I've had to adjust it a little bit. But I'm basically going to sing that. The subtitle is now Cancer Sucks, and instead of When Our Day Comes, which was the original title, it would be known as Doug's Song. So didn't have a lot of family, didn't have a big memorial. There just was not a lot going on. So it's sort of in memory of Doug. So I've been working on that. But physics and acoustics and all those things fit. Acoustics, music, all these things fit into metaphysical studies and practice and theories and understanding. So those are just some basics. I just thought I'd touch on some of those things. Um, Metaphysics is just a wide variety of things. So some people will, just focus on paranormal, near-death experiences, UAPs, and by the way, the United States government has been recently. UAP is unidentified aerial phenomenon, formerly known as UFO, unidentified flying object. And the United States government has been slowly but surely disclosing UAP information and studies. Okay? I know some truly believe it's a false flag, and I am not here to argue anybody's points when it comes to that. Perceptive systems can be manipulated. This is true, which is another reason why knowing yourself really, really well can help discern discernment. You have to hone discernment. So love above all else, everyone. Um, Rest in peace, David Wilcock and Doug Travisano, and many, many others. Um, I took a little break from the ice hockey. It is the playoffs. I've been paying attention. The Flyers did outdo the Pens. I mean, I knew they could. There was that good chance, so they did. But if there are any places out there dealing with mental health organizations or others, yes, Elton has been doing this expressions of healing, art, poems, songs, painting, sculpture, all sorts of things. The clients, they call them clients, patients, the people who seek help for mental health reasons, are the artists. So I have 3 pieces in, and I will be doing in memory of Doug's song tomorrow. I'm ready to go. Um, but do spend time, do your own research too, but a much broader perspective of metaphysics, a more collaboration and cooperation is needed throughout all sorts of different human fields of study. Because some of it is just the way humans' brains work. Some of it is. Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna point blank say this. No. Okay, the Devil's Tower. Look it up. Devil's Tower, USA. Is not an old tree stump. Okay? Stop. Stop right there. The Devil's Tower, USA, is not an old tree stump. Okay? You just trust me on this. There have been many, many people who have tested that rock. And it's rock. Many different people. People have climbed it. They know it's rock. It's rock. It's igneous rock. It's very rare where it is. That's the part of Devil's Tower that's interesting. There is no petrified wood there. There is no root system. None of it applies to the Devil's Tower. It is not an old tree stump. Okay? Scientists, geologists, hikers, all sorts of people have tested that rock. It's igneous rock. You know what it looks like? It looks like the neck of a volcano. So look at it like the neck of a volcano, and you will start seeing it. And the softer rock around it started eroding and got washed away over time. It is the neck of a dead volcano. It's igneous rock. Volcanic, dried up, really hard. It's really hard. There's no root system. There is no evidence of a root system. Hundreds of thousands of people have tested it, looked for it, nothing doing. Please stop disregarding truths that have been proven over and over and over again. Devil's Tower, USA is not an old tree stump. Hundreds of people have tested that rock. It's igneous rock. Okay? So, some of these stories may be interesting, but you have zero evidence. Particularly that one. Because the most unique thing about it is it's rare where it's located. It's an old dead volcano. That's the old dead neck of a volcano. And the softer rock eroded and washed away over time. It's rock. Okay? You don't just assume that everything you hear is correct. And do more research, do more asking questions, do more understanding of how things are proved on Earth. Okay? You can't shut down hundreds of scientists and natives. Okay? Just ask the natives. It's not wood. Okay? The more you see it as the neck of a dead volcano, right, the more you will understand. It's igneous rock, so that kind of formation happened very quickly. And it dried in a certain way. It got cold and formed. You have to be more aware of different kinds of perspectives. So I gotta go, but thank you, and everybody be safe. Love above all else. Hey.